Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that. If you're returning, how you doing today? Before we get started, if you haven't signed up for our monthly newsletter, please do. Get a hold of me or Trish. Our information is always in the description box below. You're not going to want to miss these, let me tell you, okay? Because there's a lot that's going to be in these newsletters that we can't put out on this platform here. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, there's a lot that we have to talk about today. The first thing that I want to talk about, but before we do that, you're going to need a lot of this. Kitty quake. Possibly some chocolate. Maybe a little Kahlua in here. We're not sure yet. But anyway, last night, my husband Sean had brought something to my attention, and it happened over in Australia. So first thing I did was I got a hold of a subscriber of mine over in Australia, and I said, please tell me this is not true. And she goes, oh yeah, you have no clue about what's really going on. And I said, dear Lord, unload, give it to me, right? So I can't play the video on here, but the link is in the description box, so check that out. But I'll give you a brief description, okay? So what happened was, this girl, her name is Monica, she was driving, and apparently you can't go outside of 5 kilometers, which over here is just above 3 miles away, over here, okay, kilometers, 3 miles away from your home over there. Now, I want you to sit back and think, what is 3 miles from your house? Are there any stores? Okay, besides a gas station, are there any stores? Is your work within 3 miles? What is within 3 miles? Or for our European, okay, or Canadian brothers and sisters, family members and friends, 5 kilometers. What is within that distance of your home? Now, if there's anything beyond that that you have to get to on a daily basis, guess what? Nay, you can no longer go. This is now being implemented over there. So, how long do you think that's going to start to happen here? Think about that for a second. So, Australian Ange, I want to thank you for sending me what you sent me, because this is insane, okay? She also sent me, I'm going to put all of these links in the description box below about what's going on with this woman, Monica, okay? Because this needs to be known, okay? Because it is a travesty. It really is. So what we're going to touch on right now is what's really going on, okay, in Victoria and Queensland and stuff like that, okay? The shut-in in Victoria, okay, has been extended until 70% of the residents have gotten the arm candy. So they've got a goal. Yeah. Premier Daniel Andrews has allowed playgrounds to reopen from 11:59 p.m. tomorrow, but said the risk was too high to reduce other restrictions, okay, until the arm candy milestone has been reached. No, angel face, no. And which is expected. Now they have their goal. Okay, now they have a date that they want to reach this goal, which is September 23rd. Now it's September 1st, so now they've got 22 days to get to this goal, which is 70%. Now, once the arm candy target has been hit, the 5-kilometer travel radius will be expanded to 10 kilometers. Oh, gee whiz. So that 5 kilometers, which for us is 3 miles, is now going to be 10 kilometers. So what is that? 6 miles. So sit back and think, what is within 6 miles of your home? Now, what if you live, like a lot of us preppers do, okay, out in the middle of nowhere, off grid? Are exceptions going to be made here? There's a lot of us that live on farmland, actual homesteads, where we have acreage. Lots of it. Please tell me exceptions will be made. Because if not, a lot of us are going to be eating our preps and living off of our preps, and then our preps will be no more sooner than later. So here's my advice to you. Prep more now, before this gets enacted here. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Because it's already in Australia, it'll go to the UK and then it'll be here. So, getting back to this article, it says, more exercise will be allowed, and construction sites can also go to 50% capacity. In-home care, like babysitters, will be allowed from 11:59 p.m. tomorrow for school-age children, but only if both parents are authorized workers. Okay, so define authorized workers. Define that, please. Because I'm not sure. Okay, so anyone, Australian Ange or anybody else that lives over there, okay, define authorized workers. And that's as far as we can go in terms of changes effective from midnight tomorrow night. Everything else has to stay in place until on or about the 23rd of November, when we get first dose, 70% across our state, Mr. Andrews said. Other restrictions to be eased after the target is reached includes the reopening of the communal gym equipment and skate parks, the return of outdoor personal training and private inspections of properties for a new purchase or an end of lease. Okay, so end of lease. So is that your moratorium? How we have here the eviction moratorium, which is now ended, which is, it's getting ugly. Oh boy, it's getting ugly here. Mr. Andrews has also advised that children will not return to classrooms in Term 3 in metropolitan Melbourne, and more would be announced on what would take place in Term 4 next week. He said the situation on schools in regional Victoria would be announced next week. Oh, okay. So this just goes more and more into the arm candy. I'll leave that for you guys, okay? But there's a lot on Monica here. And it's very important, okay? Now, this is also from Australia, okay? And this is also very important, okay? Now, thousands of St. George Bank customers claim that they have been without access to money after 2 technical issues caused their bank accounts to be drained. Okay. The Westpac-owned banking giant first took to Twitter on Sunday to acknowledge a glitch that saw customer bank accounts displaying a balance of $0. Okay. With some accounts even being overdrawn because of an error. Later that day, it said the issue had been resolved and balances restored. But on Wednesday, St. George said more technical trouble meant customers couldn't see an up-to-date account balance on their accounts. We are also aware some customers have had an issue with their account balance not updating to reflect their recent transaction history. And this is a separate matter which we are working on. We have fixed the issue for new transactions and are continuing to work through the backlog of impacted transactions as a priority. This is not the first time I've heard something about this. I've also heard of that happening here and also in Canada. So is this really a bank glitch? Nay. If you don't believe me, talk to Trish. She has discussed this in minute detail. And it's, what, from my understanding, what goes on is the bank runs out of money and they take from here and here and here and here. And then when the customers realize, oh, where's all my money at? Then they're like, oh, the bank, okay. Then they have to put all that money back because they took money to put it. Like that saying, my mother always used to say, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Okay? It's that. So, now, however, many customers are reporting still being hit by both issues with the original problem of zero balances, affecting some, and the new issue around transaction history hitting others. Now, one single mom, she was stuck at home with her 5 kids. One just 4 weeks old. Now, we all know as parents, having a 4-week-old infant is tough. Because she can't pay for petrol, let alone just to get to the shops to buy groceries. Now, if you're out of diapers now, formula if you're not breastfeeding, and things like that, all hell is about to break loose in your house. Now, St. George Bank customers who claim funds are being debited from their accounts with no transaction record or explanation. Like I said, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Now, a Sydney woman said over the past week, she's twice seen funds deducted from her account, added back in with her balance showing $0 despite having funds in the account. She spent 2 hours and 27 minutes on hold with St. George Bank phone support before being suddenly disconnected. Of course. That's how they roll. Others claimed they weren't able to send or receive payments. Yeah, I've heard of that too. I don't see why you're telling people the situation is rectified when it's absolutely not rectified. Thousands of people are in the same boat. We can't all be wrong, one user posted on St. George Bank's Facebook page. People are starting to catch on, okay? The banks are in trouble once again, okay? Remember when the banks were in trouble here and who bailed them out? Okay? So, I'll leave this link so you guys can read up on it because it's going to be happening here again. It's happening over there. Trickle effect. So, it's like take a deep breath because there's just so much that's going to be happening, and it really does. Now, this was sent to me. Matter of fact, Jason over at the Younger Prepper had made a post about this. I don't believe he made a video about it yet, though. The National Weather Service Weather Prediction Center issued a G1, it's a minor geomagnetic storm watch for today as a G2 moderate geomagnetic storm watch for tomorrow, okay? Now, computer forecast models used a space weather experts suggest that a coronal, and that's CORONAL, mass ejection, or CME, produced by region 2680 on the sun early on August 28th, associated with an M4 flare, may arrive later on September 1st, creating minor geomagnetic storm conditions. According to the SWPC, activity could intensify into September 2nd, with the possible arrival of a second CME associated with a filament eruption that occurred later on August 28th. Of course, my father's birthday. Should these CMEs materialize, combined effects from the two transients have the potential to result in a G1, G2 storm conditions. The SWPC warns that forecast confidence is low due to the nature of these faint and somewhat ambiguous CMEs. Geomagnetic storms are rated on a 1 to 5 scale, with 1 being the weakest and 5 having the most potential for damage. Even a G1 geomagnetic storm could create issues. There could be a weak power grid fluctuations and minor impact on satellite operations. Aurora, also known as the Northern Lights, could be visible at high latitudes from northern Michigan and Maine to points north. Impacts and aurora changes as the geomagnetic storm scale increase. Dark regions on the sun, known as the coronal holes, are one of the main drivers of space weather now. According to the Space Weather Prediction Center, coronal holes appear as dark regions on the sun because they are cooler than the surrounding plasma and are open to magnetic field lines. The sun's outermost part of its atmosphere, which is known as the corona, not the beer, is where these dark regions appear. The solar corona was also one of the main features of the sun scientists were most excited to study during the past solar eclipse. You are able to notice these features in extreme ultraviolet EUV and soft X-ray solar images. Okay, well, I'm going to leave this link in the description box below because there's a lot in there, okay? Two more things, all right? So, guys, I'm sorry, but way too much. I have to put this in there, okay? The American Red Cross is warning anyone who took the arm candy they can no longer donate blood. The convalescent plasma to help others, okay? That plasma is made up of antibodies from people who have recovered from the Rona, because the arm candy wipes out those antibodies, making the convalescent plasma ineffective in treating Rona patients. What is striking is that even if you've had Rona and you recovered naturally, the powers that be still want you to take the arm candy. Like that's any kind of surprise. But we all know this. Yet doing so would wipe out your immunity. You can still get sick. We know this. So there's another link. There's going to be a lot of links. You guys really need to read these, okay? There's another one. I don't want this video to be too long, okay? All right. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. You stay safe. You stay positive. You keep prepping. And as always, fear less. But listen, before I go, if you ever need me, if you ever want to talk, please email me, okay? If there's ever something that you guys want me to address in a video, please email me, okay? If you ever just want to vent, email me, okay? I'm always here, okay? Sometimes it takes me a minute to get to emails, but you know, I'm always here. All right, I love you.